Hi, this is my review of the Dungeon Under the Mountain, level 8. This next map in the Dungeon Under the Mountain Mega Dungeon shows to us a very interesting way in how to handle an underground city or outpost or complex that could serve as a hub to rest and recover and get some supplies, but it could also be a place to assault or to raid if it's a hostile environment. Perhaps it's a place inhabited by Drow, Duergar, or Darrow, or perhaps even Mind Flayers, you never know. It could also contain undead. What if this is an ancient necropolis? But as I was saying, maybe it's actually a place inhabited by dwarves, or perhaps deep gnomes, you never know. Maybe you can actually negotiate with them. Maybe you can actually build some alliances here. So this is a very flexible map. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's talk about the quality of the PDF. The quality is excellent. The document is bookmarked. It's very easy for you to navigate your way through the entire map or through the different sections. You have a summary section that you can click in each of these little squares so that you get to that section right away. And you also have a legend with the symbols commonly used, so you can clearly tell apart the different purposes of the icons and symbols within the map. The page explaining how to use the map is well written and explained. And of course you have the Rule the Dungeon button that allows you to hide the room numbers, hide the furniture, activate and deactivate the grid, the teleport areas, the water areas, the main areas, as well as the secondary areas. You can activate and deactivate the fill in the walls. You can toggle between white and yellow colors for the map. So you can tweak and activate and deactivate anything that you want. So the map is displayed however you like. Now let's talk about the map itself. I think there are three ways in which you could use this map. Some are more obvious than the other one. First, you could handle this entire city as a hostile area to infiltrate or just to explore. There could be enemies within each of these structures. And you could even extend this map by perhaps adding second floors or second or third or whatever you like when it comes to the height of the different buildings. Or you could build some cellars or basements in the different houses, towers, keeps. So the player characters will have lots of planning to do as to how they plan to infiltrate this city. This is a fairly large area. It is divided by some walls. So one part of this huge city, either the northern area or the southern area, could be used as the main hub of the city or the inner keep or some similar convention or division when it comes to the seat of power within the city. And you could handle the other section or area as the outside, perhaps like an adjoining village or town. So even if the characters gain access to one part of this city, they will still have to figure a way to navigate or go over or go under these walls and towers that safeguard the city halfway through. You also have some really nice buildings to come up with some encounters and sub-adventures perhaps, or quests. You have this place that is like a coliseum. Maybe the player characters were captured by the inhabitants of the city and are forced to fight in this coliseum, or maybe this is not a hostile city and they actually have some matches with prizes. Maybe the characters can participate. Or maybe the city, even though it's hostile, the player characters find some way to disguise themselves as inhabitants of the city, maybe through the use of polymorph or some really superb disguising techniques, and maybe they still want to participate in the matches of the coliseum. You also have this keep area. This is probably going to be a very important place to explore. Maybe the player characters are looking for a non-player character or a magical item that is contained within this keep area. Or pretty much any other building that seems to have some importance. There are some buildings that look like temples or crypts, mausoleums. Maybe the important item or anything that the player characters are looking for is there. Another way to handle this city is that there are different factions within the city. Perhaps there is some sort of conflict or war between the northern and the southern areas of the city, and the player characters decide to side with one of the factions, or maybe they want to play each of the factions against each other. And if you want to handle this city as some sort of non-hostile environment, as I was saying, maybe there are dwarves or deep gnomes living here. Each of these structures could be a source for different quests, different tasks, ways in which you can help the non-player characters and be rewarded for it. If you wanted to hide some important non-player characters within the dungeon under the mountain, this looks like a really good place to do so, as the player characters are asking around for that important NPC. That could give some further clues as to how to solve the mystery of the dungeon under the mountain. The layout is great, even though you do not have too many natural areas to play around with. For example, you only have this cavern with a lake that connects to the fountain in this area, but there are no extensive networks of caves surrounding the city, so all of the action will probably happen within the city walls. So what do I think of the Dungeon Under the Mountain level 8? This is a very flexible map. You could use it as a hostile environment, as a friendly environment, and because there is no prevalent theme indicating that this city belongs to a particular faction or race or specific group, you could play around with the theme as well. Maybe, as I was saying, this is not a city of the living, this is actually a necropolis or some sort of zombie city or ghoul city, or the city of a necromancer, and you could have like shambling hordes moving through the streets, or maybe there are angry spirits and ghosts and they go through the different walls of the structures and the player characters have no safe place to hide within. But there are some pentagrams and some statues. Maybe one of those areas actually serve as some sort of holy ward against the different specters and evil spirits. So I highly recommend that you get the Dungeon Under the Mountain level 8. There are so many adventures and encounters that you can have here. Some important moments in your campaign that could have their resolution within this city. Well, thanks for watching my review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. Visit Zero One Games website for many more maps and even some encounters that you can use to populate the different areas or rooms or corridors of the Dungeon Under the Mountain. Once again, thanks and see you later.